welcome to RailSIM. If you haven't noticed already, this is the Reddit for RailSIM. I'm very, very grateful. In the last 24 hours, we've had, well, put it this way, 24 hours ago, we had 3 members. We've now got 50 members in 24 hours. That's a much bigger response than I would have ever imagined. So yeah, terrific, guys. If you haven't yet subscribed to the Reddit and you want to follow the development of RailSIM, then do subscribe and and follow the project as we go along. Today, as promised, I'm going to show you the current version of RailSIM, let you know exactly where we're up to in terms of development, and we'll probably look over some upcoming ideas and what have you. Right. Anyway, I guess without further ado, let's dive into RailSIM and let's see what we've got. Okay, right. Let's see. So I'm just going to refresh. If you're not familiar with RailSIM and you haven't watched the first video, then you'll know every time you refresh the game, you get a new map. So you get new objects scattered over the map. Again, if you're not familiar with the first video, you wouldn't know that the game map automatically expands as you play the game. So initially the map is effectively the size of my viewport plus a little bit more. So you have a little area to expand to start with. I can't go any further than sort of down here. But as you play the game and you expand your network, the map starts to expand, new towns develop, new raw materials come about, and then you can keep expanding as you would normally do in any type of game. You probably realized from the first video that we put out that the game had a map, and you saw we had the green map, familiar with the old sort of Railway Tycoon look. Those colors were pretty much identical to the original game, but the map was actually it was a very large map, and we were only using a section of it, but the map itself was actually causing issues with the game in terms of performance. So not only was I not too keen on the color of the map, certainly when you're playing the game sort of late in the evening, with a glaring green, it's a bit tough on the eyes, so I much prefer this. I'm used to working in the coding environment that I use has got a dark mode, and effectively I thought, oh, that'd be a great idea. Wouldn't it be great if we use a dark mode for the game? Obviously we haven't got any rivers or lakes as a result, but in fairness, that doesn't seem to bother me. They don't really add an awful lot to the game, in my opinion. Anyway, let's have a look around the map and let's see what we've got. So you can navigate around. You can use your scroll wheel on your mouse to move around the map. And there's a couple of towns which it's generated automatically. Now we have a couple of coal mines. These are effectively coal mines. There are only 2 commodities in the game at the moment, so we can run passenger trains or coal trains in order to deliver and make some money. Now let's just have a look. So we have the coal icons at the moment. How we have effectively, these are city icons, so you would receive and deliver passengers from these icons. We also have these icons here, which represents a power station. There is no side window yet for these objects, so what will happen in the future releases, you'll be able to click on the coal mine, for example. It'll bring up a side window to tell you a little bit about the coal mine, what its estimated supply is, and so forth. But at the moment, I haven't yet implemented that. So what I'm really looking for is I'm looking for a place to start. Now, if you've watched the first video, you might be familiar about some of the concepts of this game and how it works in terms of supply and demand. It's not really beneficial to oversupply or undersupply between two between two stations, effectively, depending on what the surrounding industries are. If you oversupply, that can be just as bad as undersupplying. So the idea is try and get the balance right. And as the first game, the first video, as it was mentioned in the first video, it's actually quite a good idea to try and start with moving goods between tiles which are of similar size, because the size of the tile object is effectively in relation to its current demand or supply. So it gives you a little bit of idea. You know, this coal mine here would be supplying a lot more coal than this, for example. So it's just one of the ways you can just tell at a glance without the side window. You know what the sort of estimated supply would be. So I'm thinking we've got a bit of a tough map to begin with. I think there's nothing. This wouldn't be too bad between these two here. I know we can go here, but the demand of this power station is going to be quite small, and we're going to get a lot of supply from this coal mine. So it would be better to put this coal mine to here rather than to here. But this could be a good route. But the only problem with this is that we've got balance here. So the supply from this coal mine to this power station is pretty much in balance, which is a good thing. But the problem we've got is it's a short distance. So we can run trains between here and here, but over the short distance we're going to be making multiple trips very quickly, and we will probably end up oversupplying the industry, which means that we won't get paid effectively for our cargo. So that doesn't seem like, this seems like a good area, however, because we've got a lot of coal mines in this area, and we can connect to each one of these, coal mines with sort of multiple stations, and we can direct them into one or maybe two power stations, and see if they grow. As you're delivering cargo, the tiles themselves, they do grow. So if you've got the balance right, the way the game has been designed is that they will develop. The size of the industries will grow if they need to grow, and they will shrink if you're not supplying enough cargo to them, for example. So let me see, where should we start? Thinking I think we could run we could maybe run the passenger route here to here. So we're going to get a decent amount of passengers from there, and this seems to be a good length to start. Yeah, I think I might go with a passenger train, in fact, rather than a coal train, because with the passengers, obviously, it's a bit more lucrative, because with a passenger train, you're getting paid both ways, because obviously you're collecting passengers from the one location, delivering to the other, but then also collecting passengers for the return journey. So passenger trains can be quite lucrative. So I think we'll probably start off with this. I think we'll probably set up a station here and a depot, and we'll run a line over to Buckhaven here, and we'll start running a passenger train along here. I'm thinking we're probably going to need about three carriages, I think, maybe 4 actually, because of the length of the trip by the time we get back. But I'll show you how that works anyway. The stations can calculate what the average supply and demand is as you're running trains to and forth the stations, and you can check on it essentially to to see whether you're undersupplying or oversupplying. For example, it really helps. That, for example, is a brand new feature. That feature was not in the previous video that we done a couple of weeks ago. So that's some work that I've been doing there. So right, anyway, I need to stop chatting really and just build some stuff. So let's see. So we'll build a station there, and we'll build a station here. You can also build stations either side of the tracks as well, here and here. You know, if you say if you wanted to, I could have built a station here. You know, run the track up here, for example, build a station underneath it, and then just run the track through to here. But I'll probably run a station here, and just have a separate line, just run a separate train on it altogether. So let's set up a. We're going to need a depot. So there we go. We got Seaford. So we're Seaford to Buckhaven. The town names are being brought in by, you know, nearby towns. So we've got Seaford down here. So this is why this is obviously coming at Seaford. You know, the junctions and Spa and East, they're automatically generated to make sure that the station names are unique, depending on the area. So you have, it'll search for nearby towns to pull in the name for the station, and it will automatically just assign it with a name, just to make sure that it's unique. So let's open up the depot, and I've done some work on the depot as well. The sidebar now opens above the you know, the sort of the balance sheet, if you like, where you can see the, you know, the income and expense, for example, whereas before it was below. And the problem with it, what problem I found with it opening below is that every time you wanted to do something, you would, you know, if you open this depot and this station, for example, these would open up below these boxes, and if these boxes were open, you would end up having to scroll down to really find the, you know, to find the item that you're currently working on. So to get around that, quite a simple idea really. We now have the sidebars append, or pre-penned rather, to the top above it, and it works much better overall. The whole depot system has been rebuilt. You might not be able to tell because it looks pretty much the same, but the code behind it's been rebuilt completely, just in readiness really for when I expand the, you know, the available vehicles. Previously the vehicles were hard coded, but now they're dynamically pulled in. So right, let's, so with that, just having some of my beer. Cracking. Right. Click on a workshop. Now we've only got one locomotive at the moment, obviously because the game's in beta. Don't really need multiple locomotives. What else is different now in this version? With the new dynamically loaded vehicles in the depot, the cost of the vehicles are affected by inflation. Whereas before the cost of the vehicles was static, now it's directly affected by inflation. So if inflation rises, the cost of your vehicles and your carriages and your wagons will also increase. So let's build a locomotive. So this is the locomotive window that's been built, but we don't really need to do anything with that at the moment, so I'll just minimize that down, and we will build some rail cars. And see, we've got a maximum load of 100 passengers per car. This has been hard coded at the moment. Quite likely we will have maybe different max loads for different types of passenger cars, for example. There's lots of ideas, you know, we can do with that, but at the moment it's just set to 100, which seems to be the sort of right amount to have, given the you know, the supply and demand numbers in the game currently. So I think this is quite a largish tile. We're going to get a decent amount of passengers from this, so I'm thinking probably 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go with 4. Click back so we can see we've got a locomotive and we've got 4 passenger carriages, you know, coupled to the train. So we can remove them if we've added too many. Bear in mind you don't get a refund, so bear that in mind. So we'll close that and we'll pull up the train window. Now we want to put on automatic load in to save me having to manually load the passengers and manually unload the passengers at the stations. You can do that if you were, for example, if you were running a train as a one-off and you didn't want it to automatically load or unload, or say you only wanted to unload or load certain carriages, you can actually turn off the automatic and manual unloading, and then you can do that manually at the station. So certainly for the purpose of this game at the moment, I'm going to just keep everything on automatic, keeps things nice and easy, and then we're going to hit set route, and we're going to route the train to Seaford Junction, tell it to depart, and off we go. Okay, now when the train gets to Seaford Junction, we've got automatic loading switched on. We should see that the train will automatically load passengers available, and if we click on the train, we can see we've loaded up with, we've got 400 passengers, so you know we've got a full load there. I've clicked on the train here, that's put me in automatically set route mode. If I cancel that mode and close the train, for example, you don't have to, when you click on a train, you can see it's red at the moment, it'll actually go yellow, and yellow means you're in set route, so that means you can set routes for trains. You don't have to do this manually all the time. There is an automatic route assignment. I'll show you how that works as well. We did briefly touch on that in the first game. But what we need to do is send the train up to Buckhaven East, and that'll depart off. Okay, now the red, if you saw it just a moment ago, there was like a red animation with a cost $275 US. That is essentially that's the build running costs for sending the train on that route, and that's calculated based on a number of factors, including the weight of the locomotive, the weight of the carriages, the weight of the cargo load on the carriages, and the distance of the tiles, and speed also. Okay, so we've just delivered our first cargo, got paid $14,000 for that. Not too bad. Right, so let's have a look. We want to click on the train. So we've got 100 passengers from Buckhaven already, so let's route it back. So we tell the train to go from Seaford Junction to Buckhaven East, and now we'll route it back. Now we've routed the train back, and click on the train, and we got this route assignment. Now we've made lots of improvements to route assignment. As you can see, each route now tells us where it departs from, which makes it a lot clearer. Obviously we can cancel these routes off as well. But what I'm going to do, once you've got at least two routes, two destinations for the train, we can actually turn it into automatic mode, and if they loop around, the train will, you can see it's on the way to Seaford Junction there, the train will then automatically run between those 2 points without you having to intervene. Now if we, okay, so there we go. Oh, nice, $61,000 there. Now full load from Buckhaven has resulted in 61,000 from Seaford, because Seaford is effectively, it's a much larger city. Obviously Buckhaven's grown slightly already, but its demand is higher effectively, so that's why it's obviously paid for more passengers. Right, we'll close that window down for a moment, open up our balance sheet, see how we're doing. And okay, so we'll just wait for this to arrive in Buckhaven. I would imagine we're probably going to get paid a decent amount for this. No, 27. As you can see, the commodity price of the passengers has increased drastically, 108% already. That's because we're obviously we have an increase in demand at the moment, you know, so to bring that down to a more reasonable level, I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, it pushes inflation up when the demand is really high, so it pushes your build cost up, but it also pushes up the amount of money that you receive for delivering that cargo. But at the same time, it can be a bad thing as well, because it can then be really expensive to expand. So obviously your running costs go up, you know, you get paid more for the cargo, but your running costs go up, your building costs for expanding much higher. So you want to also increase the supply as much as you're increasing demand. If it's out of balance, you'll end up with a very high or a very low inflation. So you do want to try and keep everything balanced. So I'm going to click on Buckhaven East and just give us an idea of what Buckhaven East is telling me at the moment. So Buckhaven East is giving us 421 passengers per train on average. We're running four carriages, 100 each. So yeah, so we're running 400 passengers. It's about right, to be honest, to be running there. And we'll have a look at Seaford Junction in a sec, and we'll see what Seaford Junction's up to. So we've got Seaford Junction is supplying an average of 5.989 cars. We're only running 4, and it's demanding over 9. So we're as you can see under supplying Seaford Junction a lot, but Buckhaven's growing. You can see we've got some extra tiles here in Buckhaven. This tile is growing, so we might want to expand here. So I think what we'll do is we're going to want to bring some more passengers over to Seaford, I think. Let's have a look. Yeah, so Seaford is demanding. It's coming down a little bit. You know, we are supplying it. 703 passengers per train. Obviously, we're only running one train at the moment. So I think we've got a little bit of money, but obviously inflation's quite high. So, you know, our build costs have effectively more than doubled since we started the game. So it's going to cost quite a bit more to build a new line to Seaford Junction. But I think what we might do is might put a platform. Yeah, we're doing something right at Buckhaven because it's really growing. So I'm thinking what you really want to do is you want to keep the stations on surrounding tiles, because if I build a station here, this will actually become a separate station to Buckhaven, which means any passengers at Buckhaven East won't directly be available at Buckhaven, whatever that's called. However, if I build another platform here, for example, because it's a surrounding tile, you know, if you can imagine the surrounding tiles here, it will just create an extension, which means that they then share the passenger loads, which is precisely what we want. So yeah, so this demand is now coming down to a more reasonable level. I mean, we've got 4 cars. I mean, we could just put another car on. We could just send it to depot and put another car on, but I think we're probably better off expanding out of Buckhaven and over here, I think, because it's growing really fast. So I'm going to struggle to get a surrounding tile in order to sort of latch on to the existing station at Buckhaven East. So I think I'm probably going to expand from this side and run over here, I think, and then from there I think we're out of passenger tiles, so we're probably going to have to look at running some coal trains. So I think let's go right. We'll run new new line up here, and we'll create a station. That's Chatham International. Now if I build a station here, you'll see it won't adopt a new name, it'll just create an expansion. Here we go. So this is Buckhaven East XS, and as you can see, it's 294 passengers. It's got the same suppliers here because it's effectively the same. Not quite sure what's going on here. I actually think this is a bug, because down in Seaford Junction, we've got it showing me what my average demand is, but for some reason in Buckhaven East, I'm not getting that calculation, but I should. So there's something definitely go on there. I think that's a bug. I'll have to take a look at that. It's always the way. Every time I demo these games, there's always a bug. So we'll build a new depot. As you can see, we were up near $900,000, and we've just extended this line. You know, it's cost us the best part of $700,000. It's pretty expensive. More than double the cost to expand, because the price of commodity is, you know, the inflation's up 180% at the moment, because the price effectively of the commodities is up by 108%. You know, we're effectively getting paid 108% more than we would have done at the start of the game. So naturally, the price of everything's, you know, gone up. So let's go, and so we're doing 294 passengers per train now. Problem is, let's have a look. So yeah, so we unloaded 400 passengers at Buckhaven East, and then we boarded 241. So interestingly, with this, we've got a bit of a problem there, because we're not even filling up this train on the return route to Seaford Junction. So really, if we're going to run a train from Buckhaven East to over to Chatham, obviously we'll pick up passengers from Chatham, but really we're not going to get much traffic out of here. Really, we want to build round here. Now I could do that with a separate station and run that into Chatham International as well, I think, to make use of these, because to expand to expand Buckhaven now around here, I would need to build stations here, or platforms rather, here, 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 and here, in order to get round. So I've sort of been blocked off by the way it's expanded. So again, it's potluck. You can't control it, and you can't delete these tiles either. So you can't demolish these city tiles. So right, so I think we'll probably. I haven't got much money really. I've still got to build a locomotive and some carriages as well. What to do? I think maybe I might build a station here and just build a quick link up here. I think that might be the best option. Yeah, because I'm probably gonna get a lot of supply from here. It's going to be a separate station, but it's probably the best thing to do. Probably going to end up going into debt for this, but we want to run our line here, and we're going to want to run this way as well. Build a station. Yeah, so Buckhaven Hill. There is track going across there. It's just hidden, as you can see, underneath. Right, so we will. I think we're going to run trains from Buckhaven Hill to Chatham International. I think we're now in a bit of debt, so we've got interest accruing on this debt, as you can see, but it's not too bad. It's not too much at all. So right. let's build a new locomotive. Obviously price has gone up a little bit, but what can you do? Let's minimize this. Rail cars. I think we're going to get a lot of supply here, you know. Yeah, let's go for, we'll go for 4 again. So we've got 4. Yeah, because that's, we're almost what, 828,000 now. So, well, automatic loading on, and oh, I need to pull the train up, set its route, tell it to go down to Buckhaven Hill. Okay, right, so now we've got 2 trains running, and this is where it gets interesting now. It's where you have to try and manage your network and keep the, you know, the volumes of cargoes running in the most profitable way that you can. Obviously we're not going to get any data from Chatham until we start running trains there, so we'll leave it a sec. We can still, Buckhaven's expanding nicely here, look. We're still not getting any demand. There's definitely a bug going on here. There's this should obviously be showing a demand for Buckhaven there, but 283 passengers per train. You know, we're running an extra carriage, so we're probably running 1 carriage back empty. I would imagine if I click on, you get, all we've got, you know, it's an average, so you know we've got 340 passengers, you know, which is not too bad. That's fine. What's happening down in Seaford? Right. So yeah, so it's average supply. So again, 3.5 cars. We're running 4. It's about right. Not really worthy of, you know, of another train. Demand is 4.7. So it could take. It would certainly want to take more cargo, and perhaps if we run we might be able to run maybe a line from add another platform here at Buckhaven Hill and extend down to Seaford. But before I do that, I need to attend to this train because it's static. So let's have a look. So we've got 297 passengers. All right, fair enough. Let's just route this quickly up to Chatham International, so we get this route running automatically, so we can sort of focus on the, you know, the more of the management of the trains moving forward. So you see the inflation is starting to come down a little bit. It's where we're balancing out the supply and demand here a little bit. Where in the beginning we were having, you know, sort of a huge influx of demand. Now we've got a bit more supply, so the inflation's coming down a little bit. Let's run this train back, so we create its route there and back. Let's turn on automatic, and we got 400 passengers from Chatham International, which is nice. And we may have some data now at Chatham. Oh wow, look at the supply there, look, 9.7 cars. Again, that's coming up as a 0 demand at Chatham as well. So I think quite possibly there's there's a same bug going on here, because we've now got demand there. All right, okay. That's interesting. Yeah, the demand figure is now showing. How odd. Something quite buggy, I think. I'll take a look into that anyway. Right, so things are really growing here now down in Buckhaven, but we're a little out of money. We can still build. You know, you can still build while you're out of money, but the more you do go into debt, the higher your rate of interest, which makes it even harder to get out of debt. And the idea of the game is really to be profitable. You know, one idea I had in the first video, which I have mentioned, was the idea of you know, being unable to save the game. For instance, if you were in debt, it would essentially force you to play the game in a conservative way to try and aim for profit. But it has been mentioned that, you know, in some cases, you know, there may be cases where, you know, that's not such a good idea, because you may have a genuine reason for not being able to continue playing the game, which is fair enough. So, you know, we may put a or we probably will put an option in where you can just generally save the game. However, I am thinking different difficulty levels, and one of which would include a sort of pure simulation mode where that was the case and you were unable to save, which would just make the game a little bit harder. Obviously, you wouldn't want to build a nice network and not be able to save it, so you don't want to build networks which are unprofitable. So I think it's a good idea, but I think having a general save is pretty much a must as well. So the way I tend to play it is I tend to you know, build some lines and extend my network, you know, sort of bit by bit, and then I try to, you know, get back into profit before I continue extending on. Otherwise, I'll end up, you know, largely sort of unprofitable. I like to manage what I've got for you know, for 10 minutes or so, just to make sure I've got the right sort of supply and demand volumes going between, you know, the stations I'm running trains between before I supply on, before I move on to the, you know, to my next expanse, for example. So what's happening down in Buckhaven East? So it's demanding, wow, it wants yeah, 8.42 cars, and we're only running 4 there. We're not getting much supply out of it, but the demand is really, really high. What's happening here? So 3.3 cars. It's demanding 5, and yeah, we've got up to 8 cars here. What's happening down in Seaford? So yeah, we've got, yeah, the supply from Seaford is 3.7, and we're running 4 passenger cars out of Seaford. So I can't, you know, if I run more out of Seaford, I'm going to just take it away from this train. But Buckhaven Hill, for example, really wants more. But these two are growing. There's not really much happening down in Seaford here, but Buckhaven, Chatham growing pretty nicely, in fact. But Buckhaven seems to be growing down here, and I think one of the best ideas actually might be I might put another platform here, and yeah, try and run a train up to Chatham. But I think I might be able to get a platform in here actually, but yeah, that might not be a bad idea actually. Round here might be better, because at the moment Chatham International is not picking up this tile, and this is a really, really nice size. So I might run a line round and down from Buckhaven. Do you know what? I think that's a good idea. And I'm going to build. Nope. get that station in there. You've got to be quick sometimes, because you know, if you're running trains back and forth, you know, Chatham, you know, the Chatham could grow, and it could end up growing into a tile that you wanted to place a platform on. So you've got to sometimes be quick. And you don't have to, you have to build your line, but you know, you do have to build some track to build a station. So sometimes it's a good idea to place stations in place, just so you can sort of secure the location. So I think we will. Another thing to bear in mind is it's very possible to block the growth of a town, for example. So where we've got Chatham growing here, and we've got a lot of growth sort of for Chatham down this way, because we've now built a line this way, we're actually limiting Chatham's growth. Chatham can now no longer grow the other side of this line, so we've actually sort of blocked it from doing that. So it's, you know, something to bear in mind, if you like. But let's have a look. So demand, yeah. 229. Yeah, so we're kind of fulfilling the supply, but it is an average, and it's probably going to increase because we're now including this tile. See, the average 299 passengers is the average up to now. We've just built this station here, and so we've now got this tile included as well, which is quite a large tile. So I would imagine the demand would increase. So we'll build a depot over here. Just close him down a sec. Let's get a loco going, and we will run another 4 cars, I think. Seems to be the right amount to run. Okay, so we're going to run it into Chatham, and then we'll run it down down to Buckhaven Hill. So we've only got 242 passengers here. See, so the problem with this is we're now paying extra running costs. We're basically carrying empty carriages, which is costing more money than, you know, we don't really need this carriage, but to take it off, we've got to send it back to the depot and take it off. But we're thinking it's going to grow, so we're going to leave it on. We'll route that down to Buckhaven, and we'll, I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised that Seaford he's not growing. Maybe if we run another train to it, maybe it wants more. Maybe if we're running more trains to it, it might grow. But yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. There is a bit of randomness to this game. I don't know whether that's my bad coding skills or whether it's intentional, but it's you know, sometimes it adds a bit to the game, I think, which is pretty good. You know, obviously, you know, if it's a bug, you know, that's not good. But you know, sometimes a bit of randomness makes it more interesting. Right, so let's just have a look. Right, let's run you back to Chatham, and we'll stick you back in auto mode, so you don't have to worry about you anymore. Now we're about 900,000 in debt. We're quite a long way off profit at the moment. Yeah. I'm not really sure what's going on with this GDP calculation as well. It calculates every 10 minutes. It's supposed to calculate your gross domestic product, which is your supply, the amount of product being made, if you like, manufactured, and the amount of commodity being supplied into the game, calculated every 10 minutes on the previous 10 minutes to give you a GDP, percentage, but that calculation does not seem to be correct. I don't think it looks a bit wrong, so I think there's probably something going on there. I have to take a look at that anyway. Right, okay. So we may have to just let it run for a little bit, I think, to try and just claw back some money. Because we've spent a bit recently. What's going on here then? So yeah, so we're getting 3. Yeah, so we were at 299, so now 306. So yeah, so this is increasing, which is what we want. This is pretty good. What's happening down in Buckhaven Hill? Yeah, still got massive demand here. We're obviously, we're under supply in Buckhaven. Definitely. Down in Seaford again. Supply's going up a little bit. Yeah, and we've got, with trains just left, and we've 492 passengers at Seaford. So yeah, we probably could run a few more cars from Seaford, I think. Okay, so yeah, so I'll show you how that works, because obviously the train's running automatic at the moment. So we will close that. So the train is here. We want to run it down to Seaford. So the train is due at Seaford in roughly 2 minutes, so we'll turn off route assignment, and then what will happen is when it arrives in Seaford, the train won't automatically run back to Buckhaven, which is what we want, because what we're going to do is we're going to send the train to depot, and we're going to add a few extra carriages on, maybe maybe an extra one, probably. The average supply is only 406, so I just want to capture that extra. It's a much cheaper way than running another train, or building another line, for example. So I want to try and get my balance into the black. So, but these two areas have grown really, really nicely, in fairness. Chatham and Buckhaven, very, very nice. But nothing over here, which I'm really, really surprised about. But obviously we're not doing summer right here. I think it probably just needs more. It probably just wants more trains. I think maybe I'm going to see. Maybe it'll start growing once I add more carriages. I really want to do something with this coal as well. I'm going to run this coal probably down, down to this power station, I think, to start up. Now, what's different about this game to Railway Tycoon in terms of the building is, in Railway Tycoon you have to always extend your network has to connect out from your existing track. In this game, however, you can, you could set this up like we've got here, and then you could run over here, and you could create a station up here in Chatham and just create an entirely new line and run that. They don't have to be connected. So you could run one here and one right the way down here if you like. So let's see. Right, okay, so yeah, so our train in Seaford is now stationary. Let's set its route to Seaford Depot. And once it arrives in the depot, we'll add another carriage or two on. Okay, pull up Seaford, pull up the workshop, rail cars. Why not? We'll chuck another two on. So we'll close that. We'll put these in auto as well, and we'll tell it to go back to Seaford. Okay, now the train is going back to Seaford. We can't put it in auto mode just yet. Okay, so we have to wait for the train to arrive at Seaford first, and hopefully it'll probably collect some extra passengers if we've got some to fill these carriages up. So yes, extra 120 passengers, lovely. And we'll stick it in auto mode, and it's going to Buckhaven East, lovely. So that's how you take a train out of auto route. Send it wherever you want to send it, depot for example, and then send it back to its station, and then you can put it back in auto route mode, and then it will just continue running as it did before. So let's just look how we're doing up here now. Look, so yeah, so it's still increasing. But this is an average supply per train, mind. So it's, the average is, we're now running 2 trains there. So okay, 132 passengers there. Okay. So I think overall what I've shown here give you guys a good overview overall on sort of where I am at the moment in the development of the game. Yeah, I mean, by all means, head over to the RailSIM Reddit. Subscribe if you haven't. I'll put this video up on YouTube as well. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, yeah, do subscribe as well. It helps, build up the rankings for the YouTube videos. And yeah, you can post some feedback in here, definitely. And if you're interested in becoming a beta tester, you can head over to our Patreon page, become an active supporter of RailSIM, support the development just by contributing, the minimum amount of $5 a month, and you can become a beta tester and be included in the the feedback and the actual development of the game moving forward. So if you do, very, very grateful. And if not, you can still follow us on Reddit and YouTube and see the videos that I'm putting out as the development moves forward. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that pretty much sums up where the game currently is. I think obviously I haven't run any coal trains today in this game, but yeah, more or less, you know, the coal runs pretty much in the same way. But yeah, but that's RailSIM, and that's where it's at the moment. Be great to hear some feedback from you guys, and hopefully, you know, a couple of you will be interested to support the project and come on board as beta testers. Anyway, cheers guys. I look forward to reading your comments and feedback in the RailSIM Reddit, and we'll certainly put out another video, you know, in the next couple of weeks, perhaps, when, you know, when more has been added to the game. I think there's tons that I'm working on. I've got a big project full of stuff, ideas for the game, and I'm certainly, you know, reading the comments as well, taking on ideas. Anything that I read in the comments which looks pretty good, you know, and something I've not thought of, you can guarantee that I'll be taking it down and making a note of that, and, you know, you'll see it implemented for sure. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there, guys, and take care, and I hope you like what I'm trying to build here.